Welcome to the show. This is The Force Always. My name is Diz, aka David Zammit. Let's get on with the show. With the news, the views, the reviews, and interviews. Making news this time around, well, really, as I usually say, no news is good news, and that's a great thing. My goodness, what a spark in the morning. No news is good news. That's regarding the Starfighter film, which is coming out in 2027, and no real news coming out of The Mandalorian and Grogu since we had the trailer only about a week ago, the official trailer, which has been of mixed but mainly positive reaction out there. All I can say now with that is it's now less than 3 months away to the actual movie, in which we'll be getting the reveal of everything in the movie. The Mandalorian and Grogu coming May 22nd of this year. That's pretty much the news this time around. Let's get into the views. Views, this is usually where I give you a story idea, my story ideas within Star Wars, and accept the story for what it is, from start to finish. It's how it goes. That's Star Wars, that's how it's been said, whether we like it or not, up and down, whatever it is, that's how it goes. Now, my story idea is more of an opinion type of story idea. Should Star Wars be rebooted? Because of the backlash that has happened, especially with the sequel trilogy. Backlash did happen with the prequel trilogy, but it's sort of through time, sort of vintaged, and people have come to accept it. But the generation is also from that time time was really accepting of the Star Wars story at that point. A lot of the older generation really thought that was robbing their childhood of memories. But now we have the sequel trilogy, which is, really just not being let go in accepting the story for what it is. Should Star Wars reboot the sequel trilogy, or should they reboot everything and start again fresh? My story idea is absolutely no. There's one reason. Back in 97, 98, I think it was, 96 maybe, Star Wars was now coming back to the big screen in the form of the prequels, and then the promise was we'll go backwards, then we're going to go forwards. In my opinion, I would have loved to just keep going forwards. To see the whole prequel sort of thing is great. I like the prequels. But I'm a forward sort of thinker rather than backward. I mean, it's great to see, the story of Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker, which is important to the story, really, to get to understand the whole thing with Star Wars. But I just think the promise and the canon, the whole canon of Star Wars, meaning the timeline, this Star Wars timeline is so intricate, and time that has been invested, especially from my generation, even the younger generation, even today's generation. I just do not think making a reboot for Star Wars is valid at all. It would cause a lot of unrest. Even though you would think it seems like it's going to happen, I think it would be more unrest. In the decades, or maybe 100 years from now, I'm sure it will eventually happen, which I'm not that against with it, but you've got to let Star Wars run its course. But at the same time, I think Star Wars is something that is built on the story that keeps going forward or backward, whatever, but I would just love it to keep going forward. I personally would not reboot or keep going backwards. I just keep pushing the story forward. Like how Starfighter is, because it's a brand new time that has never been seen or heard or anything. Mandalorian technically is just after Return of the Jedi, before The Force Awakens, in a sort of time slot there. So it's sort of like it is going backwards, but at the same time, that's the story. Let's check it out. I'll probably like it. But yeah, I just think no reboot, and no keep going backwards is what I would like to keep seeing. Anyway, that is my view for this time. Let's get into reviews. Now I'm actually going to go, once again, a freestyle on down here. I've got a Funko Pop. This is going to be reviewed. This is from Han Solo, the Solo movie, a Star Wars story. This is called, the character is Enfys Nest, which under that mask is a redhead lady. Very surprising, because we all thought it might be male. Redhead, which is nothing problem with redhead, not even female. But this was a female character that was in Solo. Actually, quite a good character. I enjoyed the character. It was really good. But Solo was one of those underperforming Star Wars films for Star Wars, but I still hold it close. I think the story's great. I enjoy Solo, a Star Wars story. I enjoy this character, but I'm going to give the character an 8 out of 10. I don't think it's the most memorable character. I don't think it's the best character. It's just a really good character, but just not the best character. But, this Funko Pop and the character gets an 8 out of 10. Anyway, that is my review for this time around. Let's now get into, as I put it back down, reviews. Reviews is where you send in your questions to the latest video I've got. Just put it in the latest video. Questions, comments, anything. Just send me questions. Again, I'm not Mr. Trivia, but I can answer a fair bit of stuff out there. And usually our favourite person, which apparently I mention his name too many times, but he seems to love the show, so why not mention his name where credit is due? Anyway, Michael from Werribee South has sent in some questions. You can send in questions. Ask him questions. That would be good. He needs a lot of questions to be answered in life. By you. By me. Anyone. Anyway, the questions this time around is, what is their actual name? While fans have jokingly suggested Yodarians or Muppets, no official names exist in canon. Some theories suggest that species itself is called Jedi, implying an ancient, deep-rooted connection to the Force. I think he's talking about the Yoda species, the Grogu species, the little green species that speak in a sort of backward, forward sort of thinking. There's no actual name. We're yet to get all this. It's nothing official. We may get it in this Mandalorian Grogu's film coming up, which I've said a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away. I did say it would be great to explore that planet as a form of defending something in the actual film. Even though I don't like it backwards and revisiting characters, this definitely would be interesting. It's just one of those things I would love to sort of explore a bit more and it would just open up the world of Star Wars even further. But there's nothing official. There's no actual name for the species. And I've actually never heard of Yodarians, even though that sounds pretty good. But I don't think they're going to call it after the character. I think it's going to be a different name altogether. Anyway, so the next question is, why is Grogu still an infant at 50? The species ages very slowly. While Yoda lived to 900, Grogu is still considered a child at 50 years old. This raises questions about whether their development is strictly biological or tied to their force potential. Well, their species just grows slowly. They're very wise. It's a character trait. That's all it is. That's how it is. But it also, in a marketing point of view, it keeps Baby Yoda or Grogu young for a long time, which sells more things. Maybe that's the reason. But I think, it's just one of these traits of the character, of the species. They just grow slowly and they live to a very long time. which will be good for future storytelling if Grogu lives on, especially past Starfighter. We could see little Grogu become old and wise. That's just speculation. The next question from Michael Werby South is, why do they speak differently? Yoda is famously for his introverted grammar, but it is unclear if this is a species trait or personal quirk. In Legends, non-canon, some members of the species spoke Standard Galactic Basic, suggesting it might be an ancient dialect or personal choice. Well, again, this is something we don't know. In fact, in the official trailer, there is a point where a creature says to Grogu, "Are you scared?" And then he goes like this, and that particular creature speaks with a basic galactic English. So it could be Yoda's thing, it could be the species thing. We don't know until we get to know officially in the story timeline. It's just never been revealed. It's one of those things that a lot of people would love to know, including myself. The next question, where is their home planet? The origin world remains unknown. Some fans speculate Dagobah could be the home world because it is a swamp environment that suits their amphibious appearance, but this has never been confirmed. Well, correct. Dagobah was just a planet where Yoda exiled to because when the whole Jedi Order was attacked by the Sith, he had to go in hiding. I'm sure he understands that planet, obviously coming from a, understanding nature and a bit of reptile sort of thing. But but the actual planet was a cloud cover, an actual Force cloud cover for the Sith. He could not be detected. It was very, why would anyone actually go to that planet when it was just a gigantic swamp? That thought in itself causes, well, why would anyone go there, including Yoda? But that was a good hiding spot. The actual set of Dagobah was great. I think we've actually seen bits of the possible planet again in the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer, which is sort of a green, jungly planet. And yes, they eat frogs and reptiles and things like that. So, that type of planet is something they would really, flourish in living and, eating and drinking, whatever they do. But again, we don't know this until it is actually officially said to us, which is hopefully or wishingly coming in this particular film, The Mandalorian and Grogu, if not sometime in the future. The final question of today, and again, you can send in your questions. Anyone can send in questions. Michael from Werby South is not just the only guy that can ask questions. Anyone. He seems to love this show. Anyway, he has asked, are they all naturally force sensitive? Every member of the species seen in canon, Yoda, Yaddle, and Grogu, is exceptionally powerful in the Force. This suggests the species may have a biological presupposition to the Force, possibly even possessing sub-brain that activates during Force visions. Look, again, this is going to be another, we don't know. I don't know. You don't. No one actually knows. It may have been said in a lot of non-canon stuff, but that's just the fantasy of creating something that's non-canon, and that's great. That's fair enough. It's good to cherry pick from that if it's worth it, but for future canon stories. But we actually don't know. There could be something in their system that causes them to be really force sensitive. It'll be interesting. I think this is how big the world, not just the planet, but the world of Yoda and Grogu in Yaddle. And Yaddle, just for the record, was sort of an interesting character. You can actually get that character as a collectible figure. I actually bought it for someone one time and gave it as a gift. I should have kept it myself. But Yaddle appears in The Phantom Menace. Technically, if you look closely in the DVD behind the scenes, Yaddle is either the girlfriend or wife with Yoda, and they had little kids in this particular extra footage. But technically, that goes against the Jedi Order because they are not meant to love. And I think that was just a possibility to see what that would look like. I'm sure George Lucas said, you know what, if we do this, it goes against the whole Jedi thinking. Maybe that's why he didn't include it, but he showed it in the features for just a bit of fun. But yeah, Yodel does appear in the actual Jedi Council. Especially in the first early versions, maybe later on, I'm unsure. In the latest versions of it, I don't know. You have to go way back in the original DVD section, maybe not on Disney Plus. I don't know. I mean, they would, I'm sure, have the most up-to-date version, but we don't know what, if they are force sensitive by natural, all of them. We don't know, but I've got a feeling it could be, but we don't know until we know. Anyway, that's the show for this time around. Please subscribe to this channel if you like. Like it, share it. It's The Force always. I'm here 3 or 4 times a week, giving you the news, the views, reviews, and interviews. Send any questions to my comment section on YouTube. I don't really have the Instagram thing happening at the moment, or X, or TikTok, or whatever you want to say. But anyway, until next time, my friends, keep rocking.